G'day legends, and today we have got a little bit to finish off with UFC 318 before we get into the good stuff of the return of Robert Whittaker and Bryce Mitchell this weekend. It's got to do with Dustin Poirier, obviously. He was the main event of UFC 318. The whole card was built around him, but it's got to do with that last 10 seconds of the fight. I know we're going to cover it one more time, I'm sorry, but Dustin did answer some questions about that on the Ariel Helwani show, so we're going to look at it. And also it's got to do with Mighty Mouse is getting absolutely cooked for his opinion on Dustin Poirier's career. So we're going to have a look at that as well and weigh in on it. Let's get straight into it. Now, the last 10 seconds of the fight, I don't seem to be the only one that had a little bit of a problem with it. Not that I hated it. Well, I had a pretty visceral reaction to it on the live stream. But it's because it was such a built-up moment throughout the entire fight week. That's what we really wanted to see if we were going to get there. It wasn't so much we really needed to see that last 10 seconds, but it was one of those moments that, oh, could you imagine if we actually got to it? Then we did get to those last 10 seconds, and Dustin Poirier didn't quite give us the fireworks that some hardcore Dustin fans would have really wanted. And it did leave a little bit of a letdown in my mouth, but I didn't let it ruin Dustin Poirier's career. I didn't even let it ruin all of UFC 318 for me. I still had a great time for it. But it was obviously one of those things where it's like, oh wow, Dustin did clinch up at the end there. And so Ariel Helwani asked him about it. So let's start off and let's look at what Dustin said when Ariel spoke to him about it, shall we?
What happened was what I thought was going to happen, the point down, and we were going to exchange punches, but he was just too fast. He was too fast, and I was like, I might have threw one or two punches back at him, and I said, we're just going to clinch up. We're going to wrestle a little bit. I'm not doing this. I'm not going out like Gaethje, but I could have landed a shot too. I just didn't. Once I threw one or two, he was throwing off 3 or 4. By the time my 2 were thrown, it's just like,
It was just too fun. Dude, I swear to God, Max Holloway's gas tank is insane because he must leave something in there just in case he gets to the last 10 seconds. I don't like the fact that he can pace himself so well and then still be able to bite down in those last 10 seconds is insane. But he went on throughout this entire interview to keep talking about how he was a little bit more protective in there than he usually would have been, especially when he talked about how he went back and he watched the fight and he sort of agrees with the judges. Yeah, those rounds did get away from him. And maybe if he knew that it wasn't his last one, he would have had a little bit more fire in him to keep pressing on. And this is just a very real reality of where Dustin Poirier was in that moment. Like, I believe in my soul, if this was a number 1 contenders fight, if this was one of those do or die fights, Dustin Poirier probably would have had a better night, because that is what makes Dustin Poirier Dustin Poirier. He is that guy that is going to throw himself into the fire and be in those wars, which is why, as a Dustin Poirier fan, when Max gave him the chance to throw himself into the fire there at the end of the career, it was weird to see Dustin not wanting to do that. But this is what makes being a Dustin Poirier fan, this is what makes it, right? Because he can sit down at the end of his career or even after a fight and give you these raw, honest answers. And people seem to find this very grating about Dustin Poirier. You either hate him or you love him because of this. I love him because of this, because he's someone that wears his heart on his sleeve and will give you very honest and raw answers. And he did that throughout his entire career. However, some people see that as him being a little bit too emotional and salty Dustin Poirier, but I think it's great. And I respect him being so honest about this, because obviously you're not going to have the eye of the tiger anymore. Obviously not. That is kind of the problem with it being a retirement fight. You almost want a tune-up fight for your retirement fight. You know what I mean? You almost would have wanted Dustin Poirier versus Bobby Green for his retirement fight, rather than Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway. But unfortunately, that's just not the way the UFC. Although they did it for Nate Diaz. Either way, you know what I'm saying. You would have preferred a little bit more of an approachable fight for Dustin Poirier, where he didn't have to still have that eye of the tiger, because this is just such a human reaction to it being your final fight. You know, I said this on the live stream before, but we all know what it's like on Friday afternoon, boys. That last half an hour of a Friday afternoon, you're not got the same level of work ethic that you do maybe on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? Monday is a little bit slow to work. You're just getting in over the weekend. But Tuesday, you're there to get shit done, yeah? But that Friday afternoon, that last half an hour of a Friday afternoon, it's not the same. Or if you go to the gym, right? Like, you're like, you're warming up. The middle of the set is great. You got a sweat going. You're having a great workout. But that very last set of the very last, like that very last set where you know that you've been in the gym for a hot minute and you've done a great workout, like you are already cooked from how good the workout's been. That last set is never quite the same strength. It's the same with so many things in life. That last little bit is always like, we're at the end here. Ever gone for a long run and for some reason the last minute of the run just feels easier than the entire run that's already happened, even though like you should be well and truly cooked by now? This is just such a human reaction, man. And Dustin Poirier, the crowd's there for him. You know, he knows that Dominic Cruz is going to be there. Not Dominic Cruz. He knows that Daniel Cormier is going to be there giving him the last interview. He knows the package is about to play. He's just kind of like, Max is pointing to the ground and Max is giving it to him and Dustin's just like, I've done enough, brother. Bro, I'm tired. And some people are going to criticize him for that. I saw some people saying, what a pussy. That's not the feeling that I had, man. I didn't feel like, oh, man, Dustin Poirier, what a pussy. He always wanted war. Anyway, I've been over that. He wanted war. Max offered to give him war. And Dustin was like, you know what? I think I've eaten enough war for one lifetime. And I respect the fact that not even 24 hours later, Dustin Poirier can sit there in an interview and just face to face and be like, we battled and we were just going to clinch it out to the end. And that is the fact that he has the self-awareness to be able to say that is one of the things that has made me such a huge Dustin Poirier fan over the years. Now, the next little bit of news is, of course, Demetrious Johnson, right? Obviously, DJ, he has got a massive YouTube channel. I think he's well over 1 million subscribers now on YouTube. He is considered one of the GOATs of MMA. He is usually in people's top 5, unless you're an absolute nuffy like Lucas Tracy. So, obviously, while he is doing a podcast, he's going to give a take on UFC 318 and the retirement of Dustin Poirier. Now, DJ is getting cooked for his take. If you haven't seen his take, let's play it quickly.
The ups and downs, the knockouts, him knocking people out, him submitting people, him getting submitted. I mean, his career is kind of like up and down. Very successful because he's made a lot of money.
He's getting roasted for this. DJ's getting absolutely destroyed for this. Check it out, man. Like, where are we at? Yeah, DJ, what the hell? Dustin Poirier had a better career than DJ. Don't disrespect the diamond here. Don't be jealous that he got a send-off. You had to get sent off at 1 instead of the UFC. DJ yapping for no apparent reason. Right there, DJ yapping for no apparent reason. He has become so salty about fighters who likely gave him all the praise. It just goes on and on and on. He is getting torn to shreds for this. This guy hates on, where am I at? This guy hates on almost every fighter that comes, I don't understand, man. I really don't understand this. I really don't get, can we just look for a second? And again, I'm a massive Dustin Poirier fan. I'm also a massive Mighty Mouse fan. But can we just look for a second at Dustin Poirier's career? I mean, for the last 5 years, this has been Dustin Poirier's career. Win, loss, win, 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 loss, win, loss, win, loss, loss, loss. What did Mighty Mouse say? Great career, made a lot of money, gotten a lot of wins, had a couple of losses, did a bunch of submissions, been submitted a couple of times, had a lot of ups and downs. That is a very fair summation of the last 5 years of Dustin Poirier's career. Dustin Poirier is widely known in our community to be one of the best UFC fighters that has never had a complete belt strapped around. Yes, he had the interim title, but he's never had the full undisputed belt wrapped around his waist. This is why we love him. I thought this was universally known as to this is one of the reasons we love Dustin Poirier, because he is that battler. Just because he takes a loss doesn't mean that he is not going to get back in there and try and get a win. Oh, he lost to only champion. Justin Gaethje wasn't a champion. Justin Gaethje wasn't a champion. Benoit Saint Denis gave him a hell of a fight, an absolute hell of a fight. Do you guys remember the first round of Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler? That was a hell of a fight. That was a goddamn war. Do you remember the first 2 rounds of Dan Hooker versus Dustin Poirier? That was a hell of a fight. That was a goddamn war. This is Dustin Poirier. He is the guy that throws himself in there. Now, like, Mighty Mouse doesn't need me defending him, man. I'm shocked at the MMA community's outrage at what is going on here. I'm shocked at it because Mighty Mouse has just sat there and gone, man, great career, made a lot of money, couple of ups and downs, lots of ups and downs, wins and losses, but a hell of a career. And everyone's like, boo! You know, Mighty Mouse has become the meme of the guy. Like, why are you booing me? I'm right. That is like literally what is going on here. Everyone's throwing tomatoes at Mighty Mouse. Oh, he's a shill. He just hates the fighters. I'm sitting here looking at Dustin Poirier's Tapology going, what are we complaining about these days? I don't even know anymore. I don't even know anymore. So it's very strange to me to see Mighty Mouse getting absolutely cooked. But I'm a massive Dustin Poirier fan, and I agree with him. That's kind of why I liked his career. Because it was a bloody roller coaster, mate. And he just kept going, fixing his hair, pulling his shorts up, and getting back into the fight. And yeah, I love seeing the fight in the fighter. And Dustin Poirier never let that spark go out until the last 3 seconds, which is very understandable as to why. If it was your last 3 seconds on the job, you don't want to do the hardest part of your job, which is almost getting cleaned up by Max Holloway. I get why. That's just all I'm saying. But anyway, that's the aftermath of UFC 318. Now we get into the return of Robert Whittaker. You go from your palms sweating being a Dustin Poirier fan right into a Robert Whittaker fight week. Great. Love it. Wonderful. Love the emotions of being an MMA fan. It's going to give me a bloody heart attack. But that is it. If this is your first time here, g'day, welcome. My name is Dougie. I make an MMA video every single day of the week, and I try and go live at least 3 times a week, but it's pretty much every day, mate. Let me know down there in the comments. Do you think what DJ said was correct? Can you blame Dustin Poirier for clinching up in the last 10? I don't blame him. Would have been cool to see him go out with a bit of a war, though. You know what I mean? But I don't blame him. I get it. Let me know about all that down there in the comments. If you're one of the rioters of the channel, which means, you know, you're just constantly supporting the channel, commenting, liking, buying your own memberships, shouting out other people's memberships, gifting, all that good stuff. You guys know who you are, and your names are up on the next slide to say thank you. Until then, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.